Pulitzer Prize-winning novelist Alice Walker is here. Her best-selling novels include The Color Purple, The Temple of My Familiar, and Possessing the Secret Joy. She is also the author of several short story and essay collections, as well as 5 volumes of poetry. Her writing explores a wide variety of topics, ranging from spiritual myths to saving the planet. In her new novel, she looks at issues of sexuality and self-awareness and the relationship between fathers and daughters. It is called By the Light of My Father's Smile, and I am pleased to have my friend Alice Walker back on this program. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
So I'm happy to have you. First novel in 7 years.
6.
6 years. Why did you go back to writing novels?
Well, I never really left. It's just that I needed to write other kinds of books. I wrote a memoir, and I wrote a collection of essays, and I wrote a book about making a film about female genital mutilation.
Did that effort that you made, because the first time I knew about genital manipulation was because of you.
Yes.
And knew about the film. Did it make a difference? Did the consciousness raising have an impact?
Oh, absolutely, yes. I mean, there's a grassroots effort in Africa now, for instance, that is actually very powerful. I mean, it's powerful given that there wasn't much of one before. And many people are very much interested in ending the practice of female genital mutilation.
So that was a rather remarkable achievement for you.
Remarkable. And in this country, we actually passed a law which makes it a felony to do it in this country. And that's very good, because most people didn't realize it was being done in the United States and in the West.
By the Light of My Father's Smile, why did you turn your attention, albeit through a novel, to this subject?
Well, there's a lot of healing that has to happen between fathers and daughters, as there has to happen between women and between sisters. And I was looking at all of that, and also at the way that where fathers and daughters often miss each other is at puberty, when the daughter becomes a young woman. The father often withdraws because it just seems something that he can't deal with. And of course the daughter is thrown into a lot of confusion because there's suddenly this void where a father used to be around that subject, her becoming a woman. And I wanted to look at that because I think sexuality in this culture and maybe around the world is so imperiled because of various diseases and, other catastrophes, that I feel we have to start discussing it as something really powerful and wonderful, and something that helps us in our spirituality. We mustn't lose it as the gift that it is, and it's really in danger of being lost.
But because of the risk of disease.
Well, because of the risk of disease, but also it's been demonized by the Christian church forever, as something that is not sacred.
Only
sexuality.
Only as an act for
procreation.
Procreation.
Yes. And we need to reclaim it. We need to reclaim sexuality as the force that it is. It's a natural, wonderful force that helps us
an act of giving and sharing.
Yes, it is. And it enlarges us rather than it should. It should enlarge us rather than diminishing us.
How do we go about that?
Well, I think that for fathers, it is really important not to run away at the time that your daughter most needs you. And I think for me, in writing this novel, I was interested in creating a whole group of people, a band of people called the Mundo,
right,
who have a way of ritualizing this passage so that when the daughter is about to leave her father, or even before that, there's a period where she is blessed in all of her being, her femaleness, her sexuality by both parents. And this is really essential. It's an essential ritual that I think is very human, that we probably lost about 6,000 years ago, and we must get it back, because we can't go on without our fathers.
You bet. Does a Mundo tribe exist?
Only in me. I'm the whole tribe.
You made them, did you?
I'm it.
Yeah. You're the only member of this tribe?
Mm-hmm. But I feel that I'm a seed. I'm the seed of this tribe.
Every oak begins with one acorn.
And I'm an acorn.
You are the acorn.
I'm an acorn.
Yeah. And to create the Mundo tribe, which wants to bring back together father's participation in his daughter's lives.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Where did you go for role models? I mean, how do you go about sort of figuring out what you want to say as a female and as a daughter and as a mother about this?
I always go to myself. I always think, what would I really like? What would be good for me? How would I be happier? And then I realized that I am obviously connected to indigenous people all over the planet who must have had rituals like this and ideas like this.
This is a very raw, frank, upfront book.
Mm-hmm.
Necessary because...
Well, I wanted to show how the very thing that we think of as scandalous is instructive and positive. And so, and it's no, it's better to show two people making love, for instance, whoever they are, than to show two people killing each other. So actually, this is just, so much better.
Sex is better than violence.
It is. I mean, it's a cliche, but it's true. And it's so sad for us as a race of people that we actually have come to think that sexuality is so awful that you mustn't depict it the way that it is.
Here you have a father describing the rapturous sex that his daughter has had with men and women.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wouldn't say it's rapturous. That was in a review that someone did. Yeah. My point there was to show that actually there was a lot wrong with the sexuality between these two people, women. That there was actually a lot of power play stuff happening. And this is what the father could see. I mean, he's a ghost, he's a spirit, and he sees this. So we're looking at it through a man's mind, an older man's mind. And there's a little bit of not so good sight coming from him because of his acculturation sexually. But he's learning that she is exploring her being by being in a relationship like this. And that what is happening is that she is growing. You cannot have a sexual relationship in which you learn nothing. You learn so much. It is a major source of light.
You learn about love, you learn about belonging, you learn about sharing, you learn about giving, and you learn about exploitation, you learn about victimization, you learn about everything.
You definitely learn who you are.
Now, you had to get inside the father's head.
Yes.
And is it fair to say that by getting inside the father's head, we were simply inside your head?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, you didn't go around talking to a bunch of fathers about how they viewed their daughter's sex.
No, because I feel that I contain fathers, just as fathers contain daughters.
You have how many children?
One.
Just Rebecca, and that's it? Mm-hmm. You talk to her about this?
About the book or about... Yes.
Well, no. Well, first the book. I mean, is she kind of a sounding board for you?
Not really, no.
Is there anyone who's a sounding board for you? Or are you pretty much alone out there?
I'm pretty much alone out there, Charlie.
Imagine my surprise.
Always have been. But it's okay because I have the ancestors and I have the spirits who always helped me. And they've never failed. And I feel that this, is as much their work as mine.
Are you calm, in a sense, at your core about sort of all these things? Or does there within your soul cometh much rage?
Oh, there is a lot of rage, but I'm an artist. So rage has to be tempered into something that I can use to create something so that you can actually see what the rage is about.
So you funnel it into your art.
I do.
And to your writing. Mm-hmm. And the rage here is about?
Well, just the imperilment of the world. And also the way that we are walking around on the earth that is actually literally full of ancestors. And we never pay any attention to this fact. I mean, most people don't. It's as if all of the indigenous knowledge, all of the indigenous wisdom, all of the indigenous everything is just something that we completely discredit as if it never existed. And this is a deep impoverishment of us as modern people. That's why we walk around looking like we're zombies.
Do you remember a moment you got the idea to do this? I mean, was it an incident? Was it a story? Was it a progression of going from one place to the other? Was it
I think it's it grew out of my longing for the indigenous, my understanding that we are horribly lonely people because we've disconnected from ancestors. And this is my own feeling. I mean, I know what it feels like to be supported by ancestors. I lean on them all the time. But I know that most people...
In your memory?
No, well, it's just sort of a feeling. It's just sort of a feeling that they are very much present, that these are the people who have gotten me as far in life as I am, and that they're there.
When you travel around the world, as much as you do or don't do, I don't know how much, do you find that the view of sexuality, I think about this because of the Clinton business now, and certain countries are looking at us like, what are you doing, and why are you people so puritanical about sex? And on the other hand, you know, others look at us and say different kinds of things. I mean, do you think we in America are unique in the way we look at sex?
I think Americans are growing up, actually, about sex. I mean, I think the response to the Clinton problem, you know, it shows that.
Yeah, in fact, that the public is saying, okay, just get on with it. There are other things more important
absolutely.
than
I mean,
who we slept with
yeah,
or didn't sleep with.
I mean, there's so much more that's so much more important.
Yeah, but what comes out of this, which I agree with, is that sex is so central to who we are.
It is.
You know, and to not to give it some sense of expression is to deny you and your partner huge amounts of all that can make life fulfilling.
Absolutely.
Poetry, sense of, in the best sense of that word,
right? And it is that place where more than almost any other, we connect with spirit, and that's the part that is lost to us.
Why do this then? I mean, why choose a father exploring his daughter's sexuality rather than just partners, couples, lovers?
Well, there is that, you know, Pauline and Susanna. This is also about exploring their relationship and how they go from, you know, being very afraid of having any kind of sexual relationship to a time when they have one and they stay together. There's also the relationship between Manuelito and Magdalena, and you know, so these relationships are explored. But I'm saying that because the father's role has been so distorted, and because of religion often, it has just meant that I think many fathers have no idea that they can actually talk, you know, person to person with their daughters in an intelligent way about what is happening to the child when she turns 13.
Did you talk to your daughter about that when she was 13?
Oh, yes, and even before.
Yeah, so therefore she has a healthy attitude because at least you were there to help her through the transition.
Always. I mean, it is such a mysterious thing that is happening, and it has to be acknowledged. It has to be welcomed. It has to be affirmed. I mean, you're talking about the people who actually populate the human race. This is a great thing that is going on. These young girls are becoming, you know, the mother of the human people. So this is a time that has to be celebrated. They have to be affirmed at that moment.
What else are you working on these days?
Life.
Yeah. I know this father here is a preacher.
Yes.
You know, to bring in a spiritual point that you want to make, or to bring in the point about religion sometimes
being corrupting.
Being corrupting.
Yes,
right.
because so many people, of course, you know, they're mouthing religion, but they don't feel it. I mean, it is all just rote. They've learned all this stuff, and they just sort of regurgitate it, you know, to people. But there's no feeling. The emotion is gone. And you can see that, for instance, in the persecution, by the way, of Clinton. I mean, all of these people claim to be Christian. But how could they humiliate someone like this day in and day out? This is not, you know, in my opinion, what anybody with heart would do.
What should happen to this investigation of the president?
Well, I'm sorry that it began, but I think that, you know, he needs to look after his health, because I don't think you can really survive very long under this kind of duress. And I think he should, you know, and his family should do the same. I feel a lot of compassion for them.
More compassion than anything else?
At this point, yes.
Yeah, no sense of embarrassment, no sense of...
Well, it's a sad, messy situation. But to batter him day in and day out and to make his child, I'm sure, feel terrible is not the answer. It's mean.
The next book is going to be fiction or nonfiction?
Probably fiction, but you know, I think I don't want to write for a while.
What do we want to do?
We want to just live. We want to go and look at the river and at the moon and at the trees and be happy we're here.
Smell the roses, too. How long might we do that?
As long as it takes.
As long as it feels good.
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
And I suggest that you do the same.
Which part? Which part, Alice?
Well, let some of those balls that you're always juggling fall and just walk away from them.
You think I'm too busy?
Yeah, you probably are. Most people are. They don't know how to be any other way.
I do all the things that I love doing.
Oh, well, that's good.
I mean, I'm really not doing anything I don't want to do.
Good.
I mean, I really am lucky about that. I mean, I don't mean to be personal, because I know you're not interested in my life, but I mean, it's... Now. Yeah, I've saved it for the end, didn't I? It's great to see you.
It's
it
wonderful
really is.
to see you.
It really is. You're one of my favorite people. Alice Walker, By the Light of My Father's Smile, her first novel in 6 years. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.